I'm Chloe Singer-Johnston from Minds and Money, and today we're joined by Jordan Trimble. Jordan is the CEO, President and Director of Skyharbour Resources Limited. Thank you so much for being with us today, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
Skyharbour's uranium projects are in the Athabasca Basin. Why is that such an opportunity for uranium explorers such as Skyharbour?
Yeah, the Athabasca Basin is a very well-known mining district. It's the highest grade depository of uranium in the world. The average grade of a deposit in the Athabasca Basin is typically 10 to 20 times the average grade globally. So it's very, very rich ore and mineralization, has a long history of mining, rule of law. It's one of the top mining districts as ranked by the Fraser Institute. Pretty much every year it's within the top 5. So you can check off a lot of the boxes that investors are looking for: an attractive jurisdiction, safe jurisdiction with some of the highest grades in the world. You look at some of the recent discoveries, high-grade discoveries in the Athabasca Basin, like that made at the Arrow deposit, which is being developed by NextGen, Fission just to the south of them at Triple R, ISO Energy recently as well, and several others throughout the course of the last several decades, whereby these companies, these exploration companies in the Athabasca Basin, have been able to generate billions of dollars combined of return for investors through high-grade uranium discoveries in the Athabasca Basin. So it's a great jurisdiction to work in. We're looking as an exploration company and a prospect generator to emulate the success that some of these other discovery stories have had. And really, there's no better place to be doing it than the Athabasca Basin. And then when we take a step back and look at the uranium market as a whole, this market over the course of the last several years has been bifurcating east versus west. The supply-demand fundamentals globally right now, there's a fairly significant supply deficit, about 140 to 150 million pounds of primary mine supply, yet the demand is now exceeding well over 190 million pounds. It's growing quickly at about 3.6% a year. That estimate was just increased from 2.6% a year a couple of years ago, as estimated by the WNA. So we're seeing increasing demand in the backdrop of not enough supply, and in particular, the West, in particular Canada, the US, and Australia just simply do not produce enough uranium to meet Western demand in Western nuclear utility demand. So again, another reason why the Athabasca Basin is so important is we're going to have to see new Western development and production come online to meet growing demand.
Very exciting opportunities there. And what else makes Skyharbour's project portfolio stand out from the other uranium portfolios out there?
Skyharbour Resources over the last 10 years has built up a top-tier exploration and early-stage development project portfolio in the Athabasca Basin. We were very contrarian over the course of, call it 2013 through 2020, acquiring projects at very attractive valuations while we were suffering through a depressed bear market in the uranium sector. And that afforded us the opportunity to go out there and build up the project portfolio that you see in the company now. So we've amassed one of the largest land holdings in northern Saskatchewan in the Athabasca Basin, comprised of 24 projects covering over 518,000 hectares, or well over 1.2 million acres of mineral tenure and uranium properties in northern Saskatchewan. The projects range from earlier stage, more grassroots exploration properties right through to more advanced stage exploration assets that either host small resources or high grade, meaning multi-% U3O8 in historical or previous drilling that we've carried out. So this is a unique project portfolio, again, built up over the last decade. And we also employ a dual-pronged strategy whereby we do act as an exploration and discovery company. We are actively advancing our 2 co-flagship Russell and Moore Lake Lake projects through drilling, but we also act as a prospect generator, whereby we vend out secondary and tertiary projects to partner companies that then come in and fund the exploration and pay us some cash in stock. So this provides for multiple irons in the fire. Really what we're trying to do at Skyharbour is build a company up to be a one-stop shop for high-grade uranium exploration, discovery, and prospect generation in the Athabasca Basin.
Interesting. Now, you also have some news forthcoming on your co-flagship assets, Russell and Moore. Could you tell us a bit more about those projects?
Sure. So Russell is a project that we've recently optioned from Rio Tinto, bringing in Rio, one of the largest diversified mining companies in the world, as a large shareholder and potentially a project partner of Skyharbour. The deal that we announced with them just over a year ago allows us to earn up to 100% in that project over the course of several years. We're nearly complete the initial 51%. In fact, we'll be done that in all likelihood after a upcoming winter drill program. We're planning about a 4,000 meter to 5,000 meter drill program to follow up on this inaugural drill program that's wrapped up here in 2023. Just under 10,000 meters that was drilled, and very happy with what we're finding there thus far. We believe the project is ripe for discovery, high-grade discovery. We continue to intersect mineralization at the project. It's a big property, over 73,000 hectares, basically all the ground south of the McArthur River Mine Project, north of the Key Lake Mill, and adjacent to the to the east of Denison's flagship Wheeler River project. Now, the property that is adjacent to Russell, to the east of Russell, is our other co-flagship project, Moore Lake, where we've been actively exploring and drilling since acquiring the project in 2016. We've had high-grade drill results, including 21% U3O8 over 1.5 meters. That was within 6% over 6 meters. More recently, in the last few years, we've been drilling a little bit deeper into the underlying basement rocks at Moore Lake, and we've been having success discovering new high-grade zones of mineralization in the basement rocks, including a drill result from a couple of years ago that returned 2 meters of 7% U3O8, a new high-grade zone that we discovered in these basement rocks at Moore Lake. So both Russell and Moore Lake being flagship projects, we're going to continue to advance these core assets in our portfolio. There's infrastructure there. There's a road and power lines, as well as a camp at the Russell Lake project that we can stage out of. This brings our exploration and drilling costs down at both projects. And upcoming news from these properties: continued drilling and exploration at Russell Lake, including this upcoming winter program that I spoke about earlier. And we are planning additional drilling, including work next year in 2024 at Moore Lake as well.
And could you tell us a bit more about Skyharbour's prospect generator business?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, we have this dual-pronged strategy where we're focused on drilling and exploration and discovery at our main projects at Russell and Moore, 2 more advanced stage exploration assets in the portfolio. But again, building up this project portfolio over a decade, we've accumulated one of the largest land positions, and we look to vend out or farm out some of these secondary and tertiary projects. Typically, they'll be a little bit earlier stage than our more primary and higher priority projects. Still have lots of geological potential and are very prospective, but we seek partner companies to come in. So we've signed 8 different option agreements with 8 different partner companies. Over 9 of the projects of the 24 projects in the portfolio. 2 of those have now have gone to completion and are joint ventures. One with Orano, France's largest uranium mining and nuclear fuel company, at the Preston project. So they're the majority owner and operator there now. And another JV that we've entered into is with a company called Azincourt at the East Preston project. The other 6 option agreements are still in the earn-in phase. So these various companies are typically required to make cash and share payments on an annual basis, as well as fund 100% of the exploration at these various projects. So the 8 option agreements and 8 partner companies represent a combined over 85 million in total project consideration. That's in exploration expenditures and funding coming in from the partner companies, as well as cash and share payments coming in. Now, that's assuming that all of these companies complete their respective earnings, but it's a significant amount of capital coming into Skyharbour potentially, as well as money going into the ground. And we've had lots of news on these companies over the course of the last 5 to 6 years, whereby these companies are carrying out drill programs and exploration programs at these projects. Skyharbour and our shareholders benefit with any success that they have in the field, as we typically retain a minority interest in these projects, assuming that these companies earn in, and we'll typically also maintain a fairly significant shareholding in the company as well. So it's a kind of a unique dual-pronged strategy that we employ to add value, not just to our main projects, but to as many of our projects in our portfolio as we can.
Now, before we move on to who are your key investors and your management team, is there any recent news that you'd like to really highlight to the investors listening?
Yeah, I think it's important to emphasize and highlight the news that we're generating from our main projects, Russell and Moore. These are key value drivers for the company going forward, and we have a lot more work and potential news flow and catalysts coming up on these projects that we're planning in 2024. So keep an eye out for additional news flow on those projects in the new year. But also, as I just mentioned, we have a number of partner companies that are active at various other projects that we've either optioned or JV'd out. And we are expecting from the 8 partner companies currently that we have, at least 4 or 5 of them to be either drilling or carrying out meaningful exploration programs over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. In fact, we've just had news come out from Tisdale Energy, as well as from several other partner companies that are planning, North Shore Energy, and several other partner companies that are planning work programs in the next several months at their respective projects. So again, this is going to provide us with multiple irons in the fire and sources of news flow over the coming 6 to 12 months as we have multiple programs underway at various projects in the portfolio. And then lastly, we have been fairly active in additional staking and project acquisitions. We've announced over the last several years additional acquisitions through online staking, which is relatively inexpensive. Most of these projects and claims that we've staked, we ultimately look to option or JV out as a part of our prospect generator business. But we've also been active in additional acquisitions through deals with other companies. And just recently, we announced the closing of an new project acquisition with Denison Mines, a large shareholder of Skyharbour, a project that we're acquiring. We have acquired 100% now from them, called the South Dufferin project. And this is a more advanced stage exploration asset that's drill ready, that either we or potentially a new partner company would be looking to advance in 2024.
Sounds great. And then could you tell us a bit more about your current key investors?
Yeah, so we've seen a transition from a predominantly retail investor base to one that has much more institutional presence. So management and insiders represent a large portion of the shareholding. We've continued to add to our positions over the course of the last several years. Denison Mines is our largest corporate shareholder. They've been a large shareholder now since 2016, and they own well over 11 million shares of the company. We also have Rio Tinto, as I mentioned earlier, as a large shareholder now. added them to the register last year through the Russell Lake transaction. We're in all of most of the major uranium mining ETFs as well. And like I said, much more of an institutional presence, in particular with recent financings over the last several years that we've carried out. It's pretty much been entirely funded by institutional investors, uranium and resource funds. Still have a strong retail shareholder base, but we're definitely seeing this transition from almost entirely retail 4 or 5 years ago to a good mix of retail, institutional, and corporate.
And then lastly, could you tell us about your management team?
Absolutely. So in addition to building up a top-tier project portfolio, we've been very aggressive in bringing in new management and directors and geologists to really beef up and expand the team at Skyharbour. We have a good mix of managerial and capital markets experience, in particular at the board level, and mixed with focused uranium exploration expertise and technical expertise in the Athabasca Basin. So I've been running the company really since day one. Again, like I said, we saw an opportunity to start building up a uranium project portfolio in a depressed uranium market in the best place to be looking for uranium in the world in 2013. I partnered up with a team of geologists out of Saskatoon. Our head geologist, Dave Bayard, was at Cameco for a number of years as a senior geologist. He left Cameco in the late 90s and built and ultimately sold a company called JNR Resources. He sold that company to Denison Mines and then joined Skyharbour full time. He's credited with several discoveries in the Athabasca Basin. Christine McKechnie, who's a senior project geologist, also has cut her teeth in the Athabasca Basin with larger companies like Cameco. She worked at the Eagle Point underground mine and wrote an award-winning thesis, geological thesis on one of our deposits, the Fraser Lake Zone B deposit at the South Falcon project at the University of Saskatchewan. So very much has an intimate knowledge of the projects in our portfolio. And then at a couple of other directors, Dave Cates, who's the president and CEO of Denison Mines, has been a director since 2016. Needless to say, a very important director to have on our board, as Denison again and Dave personally are very large shareholders of the company. Joe Gallucci joined us in 2019 as an independent director as well, and is the managing director of investment banking at Laurentian Bank in Montreal, brings a wealth of capital markets experience to the team. So again, we've got a good mix of geological expertise in Saskatchewan mixed with a management team and a board of directors that's built and sold mining companies.
A very impressive team there. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jordan. It's been great to hear all of your news and future plans.
Thank you for having me.
For those that would like to find out more, please head to skyharbourlimited.com. This interview was brought to you by Minds and Money in association with Red Cloud. Thank you everyone for listening.
Welcome to Resourcing Tomorrow, accelerating the energy transition. This event brings together the entire mining value chain, including mining and energy companies, investors, government delegates, multinational operators, educators, solution providers, and more, to learn, network, and form valuable business relationships. Today, we are proud to welcome more than 175 mining companies, 250 plus expert speakers, including C-level executives from 40 of the world's largest mining companies, from over 100 countries. Australia, Canada, Chad, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, the United Kingdom, and the United States will be delivering ministerial keynotes. We would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all and wish you a successful event. Make sure you log into Traxys Resourcing Tomorrow Connect meeting platform to search and schedule meetings. Enjoy the 18 hours of networking, including the daily networking receptions. During the 3 days, the Resourcing Tomorrow Plenary Theatre, the Reimagining Mining Theatre, and the Minds and Money at Resourcing Tomorrow Investment Theatre will provide action-packed takeaways, insightful discussions, and keynote presentations from top industry executives on a range of challenges and opportunities facing our sector today. including the energy transition, decarbonisation, ESG, critical minerals, the circular economy, environmental resilience, technology and innovation, capital raising and mining investment. Finally, thank you to our supporters, our partners, sponsors and exhibitors, speakers and attendees, without whom this event would not be possible. Together, we can shape the future of the minerals sector.